Are your teams spending valuable time working around disconnected systems and departments? How much does it cost every time you have to check the status of an order? And what about production delays caused by incomplete parts to complete an assembly? Miscommunications between engineering and production, broken parts, shipping mistakes. You could be losing thousands of dollars every month. Production Coach from RSA Solutions streamlines the manufacturing process by collecting, tracking, and sorting all production parts and assemblies in real time. Production Coach is compatible with WoodCAD CAM, Cabinet Vision, Microvellum, and spreadsheets, so your orders can be imported from your existing software. Once the job is in the system, data is collected in real time by CNC controllers, label scanners for parts and products. Each factory has its own custom data tracking system which is designed for that specific production strategy, making it easy to manage timelines, clarify assembly instructions, report missing or damaged parts, and even monitor kitting, staging, and shipping. It's time to bring your facility into the 21st century. Contact RSA Solutions today to find out what Production Coach can do for your bottom line.
Welcome everyone to our webcast today, brought to you by RSA Solutions. Hi, my name is Sean. Thank you so much for registering and attending today. We hope and trust that it will be a valuable investment of your time. Without further ado, we'll go ahead and begin. Today's webcast again is about Production Coach. It is an MES system. So what is an MES system? It's a manufacturing execution system. It's a control system for managing and monitoring progress on the shop floor. It keeps track of manufacturing in real time, receiving up-to-the-minute data from bots, from machine controllers, and employees. Recently, our company, RSA Solutions, conducted a survey out to a number of woodworking companies and industry consultants. We asked only 6 questions related to challenges and costs of production without a manufacturing execution system. And the results were pretty astonishing as to the waste and costs that were attributed to these questions. The result of this is Production Coach, our MES solution that is giving you not only a 360-degree view of your factory and operation, but increasing communications, reducing paperwork, helping improve production in just a number of ways. The first question that we asked out to the industry was, how much does it cost to find out where something is in production? Seems like that's something that comes up quite often with shorter lead times, more custom work, all kinds of things. A few of the slides that I'm going to show you are just because these wouldn't be things easy to necessarily show in the interface. One of the things that we've done is we've linked Production Coach to the HOMAG Power Touch controller as an example of automated feedback, so no user intervention required to be able to update the status of where a work order is. Again, we can do this with a number of ways to be able to automate the process. Data enhancement, being able to make the data coming from your CAD/CAM system even more valuable, to provide more information real time so that we know exactly where things are, where they need to go, and to just keep everything fully organized. Tracking and being able to see exactly the status of any production order in real time, and to be able to determine what might be missing from a given operation literally at the touch of a button. Being able to see in a really nice and visual way your goals compared to productivity within the shop floor. The second question that we ask is, how much does it cost for all of the shop paperwork? Not only just the paper and ink, but also the time to prepare and process all of that paperwork. From that, we created a great visualization that allows you simply with a scan of a part label to be able to see the parent or the part details, the parent product that it's associated with, the work order that it's associated with, and to see its position within an article. and the associated hardware for any assembly. So Production Coach is reading data coming from CAD/CAM systems such as WoodCAD/CAM, Cabinet Vision, Microvellum, spreadsheets, or other data sources, and being able to automatically render from reading those databases the products that are associated so that you have all of the details that you might need. The third question we asked was, how much does it cost to expedite part shipment, because there wasn't damaged parts alerts allowing for quick decisions so that it can become part of the assembly and not be back ordered. And so we created, as a result of this, interactive production alerts that allow someone on the shop floor simply with a quick scan or click of a button to be able to designate that there was a damaged part or some kind of an issue, so that real-time decisions can be made about whether to remake and expedite the part or to be able to back order it. We ask, how much does it cost when assembly starts to build something but can't finish because there is a part or parts missing? We created a number of strategies for helping you with the sorting. I think we can all agree that when we're in the process of working on a work order, whether going through saw, nesting, edge band, whatever, it's not sorted down to a product level, but somehow we have to get this done very, very efficiently, and to, for sure, know before we begin assembly that all of the parts are available for that product. From a reverse view, then we get to see only the things that are green. Do we pick for assembly in that process so we know we're good? And then once we've pulled the parts from the rack, we can automatically clear it. The fifth question was, how much does it cost each time that production has to come to the office for more information? And being able to literally click or to scan to be able to see all of the detailed information, including dimension DXF or whatever kind of level of detail that you need, is now available at the shop floor instead of having to come to the office constantly for better information. And the sixth question we asked was, how much does it cost to leave something off the delivery truck? Man, you get that call and say, we're missing this cabinet or countertop or whatever it was in the process. We not only give you an easy ability to be able to scan products onto the truck to ensure that they've made it in place, but we help you with both automatic and semi-automatic kitting of loose items, whether that's hardware bags, molding bundles, or whatever it is that might be detached from the actual cabinets themselves, to be able to generate labels for these, whether these are loose items or that they've been staged after assembly onto pallets, so that now we can scan a pallet onto the truck instead of all of the individual items. And also then, of course, being able to give you a shipping list that is real-time, that shows you exactly what has been scanned on the truck, so we make sure that we have the total pack of everything that's required to be able to get the job out. This is Production Coach, and we're going to begin a live demonstration, but right before they do, I just have a couple of images that I want to share with you, just so that you can imagine what this might look like in production. These slides happen to be coming from Stiles, North Carolina facility. You might notice on the left-hand side of the screen, that's the way that their sorting racks are built, and so you'll see that in the first computer image overhead. And the image on the right-hand side, it is showing the visualization for this. So in their facility, and I'm just going to kind of skip through these so that you can see this a little bit. In their facility, what is actually happening, having automated feedback coming from the first operation, which is the saw. It's going very quickly through edge banding CNC and then coming out to a sorting station. All of the parts are sorted into one rack, doors and drawers into another. It doesn't turn green on the bin for the assembly person till both all of the cabinet parts and the doors and drawers are available for a product. He grabs the parts, he puts it together, he scans any part label, that automatically spits out a product label, slaps it on the back of the cabinet, sticks it into the case clamp, and then the system is automatically marked that it's made its way through assembly, and finally it's pulled off and staged onto pallets for shipment. Now, you should be viewing on your screen an interface for Production Coach. It's intended to be very simple looking. It's used on the shop floor, so it needs to be highly intuitive and very easy to work with. You can use, of course, a number of ways to work with it. It could be touchscreen monitors, it could be mouse and keyboard, it could be barcode scanners, all of those kinds of things as well. On the left-hand side, underneath where it says the word work order, where we're here, this would be the number of work orders that I have in my system that are current. If I change the status at the bottom, I would see any service work orders. I don't have any, but I do have completed ones, and so we're able to see and verify on the left-hand side that that equates to all of the work orders in the system. On the top view of this is all of the products that happen to be in the work order, and the view at the bottom in the center happens to be all of what we would call the loose items. So this is giving us we're creating a kit for those items so that they make sure that they get scanned onto the truck as well. While we're here, I'm just going to click on a status button for this work order, and we'll see that in this case, this particular one, all of the cutting is done, and about 50% of the kitting and 1/6 of the assembly. If I click on the tab for automatically shows me exactly what has not yet made it through that department, so I can go hunt that down if something happened to be missing in the process. Please don't get hung up on what we're calling cutting, kitting, assembly, staging, shipping. These can be configured for your factory at any location that you want a computer, monitor, printer, scanner, whatever it is that you want to do, whatever functions that you want at those particular ones. Today we'll go through a couple of different stations in this, and so we'll make sure that we take an order all the way through production. Also, I want you to be able to see that with the click of a button, there's more detailed information available. In this particular case, I could now see, in case you were buying outdoors and drawers kind of thing, all of the items that need to be pulled, if those were ordered in, and all of the hardware required for the overall production order. So it's really nice to be able to have that information immediately available, print the screen, just view it, whatever you need, to make sure that everything is being prepared for this. The first thing that I want to do is I want us to bring in a live order in this particular case. And so in order to do that, I'm going to go to production, and I'm going to say that I want to import, and I'm going to go select an order from this list, or I could select multiple. In this case, I'm going to bring in PM004. The reason that I'm bringing in that particular order is because I have already pre-printed some barcode labels, and so that's going to allow me not only to show you how to select onto the screen today, but hopefully you'll be able to hear the barcode go off and see the interaction with that. So we have this order now available in the system. We can see what's in it. Of course, there's no progress that's been made with it whatsoever, just because it is what it is at this stage. The first thing that I want to do is I want to take you over to the calendar view. So if I click here, we're going to now see that this data is linked fully with Google Calendars. So this is for the process of planning and those kinds of things. So I threw this order in. Let's not worry so much about production dates in this case relative to the calendar, because I want to be able to put this in something that will make sense. So this gives me drag and drop capability to be able to move around in my calendar wherever I need to be able to deal with this production. And you might notice that if you view the bottom left-hand corner, there's a legend. And so with the stations that we have configured for my system, we made cutting a gray color, kitting a yellow, assembly orange, staged in aqua, and then blue for that. And so we would see that for various orders, everybody can be on the same page as to what the production order of what it is that we should be doing. So that makes it really nice to be able to see and work with. Not only can you view it in this kind of a way, but you could also take it and say, I want to view it just as the person doing cutting, as an example. So now they could see exactly what it is that they have to work on for their station. As you would imagine, because this is linked with Google Calendar, not only can this be shared inside of your factory, but also outside of your factory and can work on any device that could have access to the internet. Might be delivery drivers, might be installation crews, people doing field verification, project management, whatever it is, they can have their own calendar view of what's going to happen. You can not only look at this being Google Calendar across a month, a week, or a day, but you can also look at custom times and to be able to even set, if you look at the bottom of my screen, production goals so that you can determine for that kind of an operation, what is our goals for that. So maybe we regulate it per day, but we can look across to make sure that we've staged our schedule very well for a balanced workflow. So that makes it nice to be able to see all of those things. Also, as we're working in this, again, it could be looking at and say, hey, I only want to see what's available for our truck or to be picked up or all deliveries, whatever it is that we're working on. You can have those designated in that kind of a way, and the same kind of a thing for different installation crews. So it's very customizable software. At the same time, I want to just say that it's really more like an app than it is a program, meaning that it doesn't require huge amounts of setup or back time for implementation. We're able to do a review process, make sure we've got the right stations, know how to configure them, come into your facility, integrate it, and train your shop personnel on it in a really, really short order. In most cases, far less than a week. So anyway, I think first point here would be that we've got a planning features that are tied directly with Google Calendar. So again, that data can be shared both inside and outside of the factory. I'm going to highlight for a moment on another order just to give you an example because I have tied data to this. So just by clicking into the this icon, it's going to allow me to see we're using Dropbox technology so that you can share with the factory or installers or whatever it is any documents that you might want to have for this work order, so you don't have to worry about am I providing enough or whatever it is. Anything that you want to be able to attach can be done. You can also attach the documents directly to the database for those inside of the factory. But if you use our Dropbox feature for this, then anybody, again, with a smart device, an iPhone, whatever it is, could be able to access that data immediately on the fly. So we're here working. We've brought in one order. Before we begin doing something with it, I want to give you an example of a barcode scan just so that we understand. In this case, a minute ago, we talked about visualization, and so now I'm going to scan a barcode of a different work order than what this even was, and in doing so, what I want you to notice happened. It went and found the work order that was associated with that scan. It went and found the product. It generated a live model of this product. Let me get my GoToMeeting out of the way. Okay, and so now I can look at this, create any kind of visual for it. If you see, I'm able to move it around. If I wanted, I could hide parts to be able to see inside of things while I'm here. I can see all of the door drawer kind of stuff here separate from the parts, as well as all of the hardware for this. So if I'm in assembly or whatever the case is, this could be a very, very valuable tool in figuring out what it is that I'm supposed to be able to put together. But there's other features of it as well. Maybe I've got something going on with this part that I want to visualize. I can click into the image and to be able to see a screen view with all of the machining and attributes that are supposed to be happening with this particular part that we're working on, so that it can be very, very helpful. Also, if for some reason this part that I found wherever it is was damaged, I literally could click a button and say, hey, this got damaged by edge banding or whatever it is. And if you'll notice on my same screen, it's popping up an alert here. And so if I clicked into it now, it's told me, oh no, there's a damaged part, what is it that I'm going to do with this? Now I can make decisions about whether it needs to be back ordered, or in this case, I'm going to tell this that I'm fixing it by the office and expediting it back through production so that it's going to arrive for the assembly person. Okay, so now let's begin working with this PM004. Again, there are a number of ways that we can interface with this. For example, I could select on something and to be able to change its status, to be able to see that it was cut. I could do, of course, multi-selection. In this case, I'm going to do a shift here and a select, and I'm going to tell this that I want everything to say it's gone through the status of cutting. If you had, for example, a Holzma saw with power touch control and automated feedback, it could know automatically when a work order was started and completed. If we were doing barcode scanning of things, that would be giving us the data as well. We even have a print to scan feature, since first operation doesn't have any barcodes to scan. You literally can just scan first and last to know we've begun and we've ended with that. We could now even begin to look at our production status, because now everything has made its way through cutting. So we've got a percentage of our work order that's being completed as we're working across this. So that makes a really nice way to be able to deal with it. I had a project over here that had some loose items. I could also do a multi-select on those and say that I want to be able to create a kit for these. Now these became part of a kit. If I click the button for this, you would see that we've automatically generated a label. So now if I'll blow this up for you a little bit, you'll see now we've created a pack label for all of those kick plate items so that they'll get scanned onto the truck to make sure everything is there as well. In process, what I would like to do at this point is also show you the business intelligence dashboard. So here we're using Excel pivot tables to be able to give you a live view of your production, and its progress gets automatically updated. And so now not only are we able to see all of the, whatever it is we're looking at, could be products, could be parts, could be jobs, whatever we want to view. In this case, it's products. I can see the production coming from the office, from cutting, from kitting, assembly, and we're also monitoring and tracking the number of parts that are happening between each of these stations or products, however you want to visualize it, because obviously to have a balanced workflow, we can't run out of work at a station, but we also can't have a huge piles of stuff that we're tripping over. On the right-hand side of this screen, you might notice these are the ongoing projects and their percentage of complete. Again, this is something that can be viewed in any kind of way that you'd like. We're also measuring the quality. If you remember a minute ago, we created a damaged part, so we want to make sure that we're tracking the percentage of quality parts and the performance by the workstation itself. So the Business Intelligence Dashboard is a great visualization tool for a production manager to be able to see his factory running without having to go out and ask all the questions and visually see all of these things happening for you. I'm going to go ahead and shut this down. And now what I'd like to do is I'm going to close this particular interface, say quit, and I'm going to reopen, but I'm going to now log into another profile, meaning like a different computer on the floor, and this one just happens to be called kitting. I like the term sorting better, but the reason that I want to do this is I want to click on this button, which is going to take me to a sorting station. Now, in working with this, this is just an example. Some of our customers do have fixed racks. Some of them use mobile racks. Some of them use combinations thereof. We can configure the system to work the way you want. Again, I'm going to repeat myself that because this configuration represents what's displayed in the Stiles, North Carolina facility, they have one fixed rack that has 24 compartments for sorting of cabinet parts, and then they have another sorting rack for the doors and drawers. So I'll show you kind of how this works, and so we'll begin a process of scanning some part labels. Now keep in mind that I am scanning for the purpose of you understanding what's happening, but in a real production environment, I would be having all of these parts coming off the line, so they would be making up multiple products. I scanned my first part, and it automatically told me where to place that part in the rack. So this is part 1 of 10 of a product, goofy name called PC_1F_1DR_1S, whatever that means. I'm going to scan the next one, and you'll see that this is counting. And I'm going to go a little bit faster just so that we're not taking all of our time just with scans. But what you'll notice will happen is when we get to the 10th part of this. Okay, so got that one. What did I do here? Did I miss one? 1, 2, 3. So what I can do is I can look into any one of these to be able to see missing parts. So I'd see, okay, I was missing a left side. That allows me to track that down. So now I can scan that and to be able to have all of the parts available. Notice that it turns green once all 10 parts have been scanned for it. And so this is giving us a legend in the bottom left-hand side. Just to show you a few cool things here, let's say that this was a product with lots of parts. I'm beginning to fill up my bin for this. I literally could click in to say, I want to be able to relocate to a different bin. Maybe they're not all the same size. Or I could even click in to be able to say, I want to add a second bin. So now bins 3 and 4 contain all of these parts that are inside of this. We could also look at this from a reverse standpoint and to be able to see that in this particular case, we know now, if we're the assembly person, exactly which bins to pull parts from and which ones don't have all of the parts there. So sorting really, really efficiently, being able to deal with damaged parts, being able to ensure that they're all there, so now we can quickly move into the assembly process for this. So if we were pulling these and we were working on this stuff, we would be able to take and to be able to change probably status, and so now we could say that we're at a process of assembled or whatever that is. So if we did that, then of course our production progress is going to have changed quite significantly in this case. So we'll pull this up just to be able to see that again we've made a good bit of progress with this, and so now we've made it through cutting, kitting, and assembly. The next thing that we want to cover in this case is what I'm going to call staging. So if you just click on this or click on the staging side of this, in either way it's going to bring you to an interface. For many of our customers, they don't get the luxury of going directly from assembly to loading onto the truck. Oftentimes they'll have areas designated in their factory for what I'm going to call staging. And so now I can look at my factory and be able to see all of these in green. This just happened to be 24 different areas. Maybe you've got way less, maybe you have more, whatever the case is. I can see that I have one work order already staged in A18. I'm going to come over to A01, and now I'm going to tell this that I want to store all of these items in that staging area. So now everybody knows where this has gone from assembly to the staging area for this. Also, for some of our customers, they like to take products and to be able to place them on the pallet. So you could be scanning the product label to automatically create a kit. In this case, I'm going to take these 4 items and tell them that I want them to be part of a kit. And so they have, and again, I know that we looked at the label a minute ago, but just to make sure that we understand, not only could this be loose items, but this could also be labels for a pallet of stuff. So now when you went to scan onto the truck, you would only have to scan this, pack label, and it would know that all of those products made their way onto the truck. So that's pretty cool. Our final thing that we would be doing is at the shipping station, we would either be scanning barcodes, or if you utilize RFID, it could be automatically scanning items that are passing through the barrier on their way to the truck. And so I'm going to take this and I'm going to make a selection, and I'm going to change its status, in this case, to shipped. In doing so, if we now clicked on our reports for shipping, we would see that we have instant and electronic verification of everything that has been scanned onto the truck. So we've got 100% proof, I guess you could say, that that has happened, to ensure that we don't get a call from the job site that says, hey, this product or this hardware or these molding or whatever it is was missing from the truck. And so let's just take a moment to view this. So we'll see all the items that were involved in this workload. We'll see that we had one pack as well, and we had a quantity of 5 that shipped. And so we have nothing on back order. So it's giving us a perfect report here, so we know that we can release the truck, signature, all that kind of stuff done for you. Again, just to repeat a few things, and then we'll move over to the question and answer side of this. Some of that may revert back to questions or further demonstration, but I just want to point out a few things. Production Coach is designed to work with all of the industry engineering CAD/CAM design softwares, the wood CAD/CAM by home, the cabinet visions, the microvellums, and even other databases and spreadsheets can work with this. It's very, very configurable to what you want to be able to accomplish. It's more like an app than it is a complex program. We're able to configure and install it in your factory to do just the things that you specifically want to be able to accomplish. Some have this and do very limited functions. They just want the first operation, whether SAW or CNC, to be able to acknowledge that the work order started. They don't do anything else until they're scanning a product label that we know that things have been assembled, and then maybe they only scan onto the truck. Others have dozens of stations and are doing very, very detailed kind of stuff. So it really can be configured for exactly the way that you want it to be. Okay, so question is, what shop size is this for? We have customers that do less than $1 million in total business. We have customers that do tens, if not hundreds of millions of dollars. And so it really can be for a shop of almost any size. I believe that our smallest Production Coach customer does somewhere in the neighborhood of $750,000 annually. However, if you surveyed them, you would find that they believe that this is going to enable them to grow and to be more efficient and reduce costs in very, very amazing ways. So they're not too small for it. And again, this is even in large companies with existing ERP systems. You know, some companies might just want the functionality of visualization and being able to get to that detail and product alerts or whatever it is that you believe would help you in your factory. That's the way it can be configured in the way it works. So again, you can interact with it on screen, mouse and keyboard. You can have touch screen monitors. You can use barcode scanners. You can work with RFID. You can have automated feedback from machine controllers such as the HOMAG Power Touch control with automatic feedback. And so just a very good number of ways to be able to interact with it. How much? There's always questions about pricing and those kind of things. And as you would imagine, because this is configurable, we do in general work with you to be able to come up with what it is that you're going to need. Often just figuring out the number of stations that you might need and what to accomplish can be a bit of a process that we help you through to be able to determine. I can't tell you that I can give you a perfect range of things, but I would tell you that most sales, including support, including services, including the software and stuff to do, ranges in the $15,000 to $30,000, but it can go lower or higher on both of those numbers. But it is something that, if you choose to do, there can be great features within it to be able to help you. Okay, there's a great question, Akam. Is there any time or cost tracking capability? We are getting ready to launch a module of this that will do time tracking for you. So in this case, you would be able to clock in to a work order into a station and be able to track all of the time, so that we give you back then that not only from a progress of production, but also the actual times that were associated with doing these functions. So that's something that we're going to be releasing to our customers in a very short amount of time. I believe it's scheduled still yet this month to be coming out as one of the new features. So great question, and I think that those things go with each other, from a standpoint of not only tracking, but also being able to deal with the time tracking, so that we could ultimately come out with a estimate versus actuals, and to be able to deal with all of that costing. Reading across, see if there's any other questions that we need to cover today. Yeah, so there is not a limit to the number of stations. Yeah, so I mean, technically, we've never had anybody do this, but you could have one station, I guess, that was doing nothing other than allowing you to import work orders and to be able to do some real basic things. I don't think that would be super functional, but it can be as few or as many stations as you want. They can be configured to work together and even have multi-functions at the same stations. If you like what you saw today and you understand that having an MES solution to help you with manufacturing execution is important, just let us. One last chance. Anybody else have any other questions that we might cover during today's session? Is this intended to become a full ERP system? Production Coach in itself is intended to be an MES solution, and then there are things that we can do in addition to that, as one of the questions was posed about the timekeeping element of this. If you we deal with full ERP solutions and those kind of things, and so we'd be glad to get to your question and be able to make sure that we can give you all of the details that you might need. Some of the terms, whether it's MES, MRP, ERP, all of that kind of stuff is sometimes used with very broad terms and different kind of meetings, so we'll get directly with you. And it says, does the status change only manually, or can it be triggered by a scan? Absolutely, Doug. So let's go over again the ways that the status of something can change. First of all, if you wanted, you could select on an individual item. Actually, I'm just going to show you this again in case that wasn't viewing very well. I could select an individual item and I could change its status. So now that status changed. I could do a multi-select, whether this is mouse and keyboard or it is being done with touchscreen, and I could change then a multi-select to be able to say I want to change this all to a symbol. So now that's two ways that it could be done. A third way that it could be done is that you're using, for example, home ag machine with power touch feedback, power touch control feedback, so it can automatically be happening as the controller knows that it's working on that. An additional way that it can be done is when we are scanning a barcode for something so that it's changing its status. I don't know if I can do this as an example for this. So I just clicked on this one and changed it to kitted. I'm going to do one more. So now we would see that this second one became kitted. So I just changed the status by selecting a barcode. So that is another way that it can work. And the final way that it can work is if you're using an RFID is generally only for the product label, but literally if you had RFID in your label for the product, as they pass the barrier going onto the truck, it could change the status of those to shipped or whatever it is that you want to call that process. So hopefully that works out good. And I think that that makes it to the last of questions that I see. I want to take just a brief opportunity to thank you so much for joining today's webcast. I hope that it was informative. We're super excited about how the industry guided us into the development of Production Coach. We have great customers. They're highly satisfied. It's something that we know that we can bring into your facility and to make successful very quickly. You know, we're not creating the engineering data. We're using the softwares that you already have and connecting to those databases so we can very quickly give you the tools to improve the communication to the shop floor, to reduce paperwork, to be able to track things in production, to have automated alerts in the factory to give better information for assembly or damaged parts or whatever it is, to make sure all the parts are there for assembly, to be able to stage and to ship, and just to make sure that you're doing production in the very most efficient way possible. So, and we look forward to working with you. Have a great day. Take care, and God bless.